let's get it started just like this. Welcome to the Hardway Project.
What's up,
Step
everybody?
in the ring,
Welcome to
it
the
ain't no
Hardway
backing
Project.
down.
We got a special guest today. First, our non-special guest is John Mark. He's always here, right?
I'm always here.
He's like a phoenix coming back from the.
Yeah. Yes, I had to go to the ER today. So yeah, it's all good though. Everything's set. I was afraid that Mia was only going to have Charles here. So, but maybe Charles was going, well, actually that would have been a lot better interview. So I don't know.
No, never that, man. Never that. You're the brains behind the operation, man. So we have Mia Friday here. So if you didn't know, Mia is a young phenom, 20 years old, female luchador here in South Texas. I mean, she's a phenom. I mean, I seen her live a couple weeks ago here in San Antonio. It was amazing. And I seen her at after the event. She was at her merch table. I asked her to be on the podcast, and here she is. Well, welcome, Mia.
Thank y'all. I'm excited to be on. Thank y'all so much for bringing me on.
No, awesome. So, if a lot of people know about your story, I think they're fans of yours. Just to go into it, how did you start out wrestling? You're 20 years old. You're a female. You're African-American female at that. Not a lot of young African-American females want to be wrestlers. Like, how did you get involved?
Well, it's just one of those things where I just always grew up around it. It was mostly my dad's fault. I'll blame my dad for it, but also my grandpa watched it a lot too. So therefore my dad grew up watching it. So therefore I grew up watching it. It's just always been just like a family pastime. And I guess for me, watching it on the screen, I don't know. I guess for some reason I felt like I had to get in there and do it. So yeah, 13 years old, I started training and haven't stopped since then.
So 13. So my son is 12 and I can't get him to take a shower. It's impressive, right? You're wrestling at 13.
It's really cool, Mia. Did you have like an athletic background, or did you play other sports and you brought that athleticism into wrestling, or did you just kind of, is that your sport? That was your thing?
Wrestling was just my thing. Like, I really just wish, I feel like to this day, I'm still not athletic. Like, I'm always the main one struggling with push-ups during training and things like that. But I didn't have any kind of athletic background. I tried gymnastics. I tried soccer. I've just always been terrible at it. Even like basketball. None of it has been my thing. I was pretty bad at wrestling too when I started, especially being 13 years old, just a young girl in there trying to learn body slams and things like that. But wrestling, even though I'm not athletic, wrestling was one of those things where if you just keep on working, you'll see it through. Eventually, you'll just get those movements down, and I can convince people that I'm not unathletic. That I'm not, you know what I mean?
I love that she says that, and we see her moves on Instagram, and she's not say she's not athletic.
Right. That's all right.
It's just all training. It's all just.
No, that's awesome. So you're based out of Houston, Texas, right? Awesome.
Yes.
So what gym do you work out of? What's the independent promotion down there that you mainly work? Because I saw you here in San Antonio, and you were just kind of visiting. You were like the guest star, the final match type deal.
Yes, yeah. So I wrestle at it's in Houston, kind of like in the Texas City area, so going more towards Galveston. It's Reality of Wrestling, ran by Booker T. So just down there, I started at a different school. I grew up in Bryan College Station. So I started first at Lions Pride Sports in Bryan College Station, and then I just moved here for college about a year ago. Just moving things over, taking things to the next level, training with Booker T and everything.
Nice.
That's cool.
So I assume you've met him.
Yes.
Heck yeah. That's for marks like me and John. That Booker T's that's one of my main favorite guys of all time.
That's really cool. What a great mentor to have as you're breaking into the business, Mia. And what's it like working with him? I mean, you're working with a legend, one of the greatest of all time.
Yes, absolutely. One of the greatest of all time. It's intimidating for sure. I still get those nerves every time I see him, but it's definitely just it's so much just it's the most valuable information that you could ever get. It's just so many amazing lessons that I've learned. And like this goes back to what you're saying, being like a African American female in wrestling. We want to talk about the greatest of all time, greatest Black wrestlers of all time. Booker T is like, that's it right there. So it's just great to have that tutelage and to just get all that knowledge from him. It's amazing.
That's awesome. So that was kind of segue to the question, right? Being African American female, I mean, nowadays you do have, you have a Bianca Belair, you have, dang, why can't I think of her name? She's my favorite wrestler in the
Lash
world.
Legend.
You got Lash Legend, you got Jade Cargill. So Jade Cargill's my girl. Anyhow,
You forgot Jade Cargill's name. Maybe
I
you
get
need to
nervous
put
when
some
I
mark-
think about her, man. Anyhow, I'm gonna edit all this shit out so I don't get in trouble later. But you got Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Lash Legend, just some really top superstars to kind of like look up to. But like, what's that one wrestler that you looked at when your dad took you to your first WWE and you just got hooked on it? What was that one wrestler you kind of saw that you model yourself after?
That one wrestler, like, so growing up watching wrestling, I was the fangirl, of course, but I never saw myself doing it. My favorites growing up were like John Cena. I would watch him get like beat up by Ryback and they did like the 3 stages of hell match. Like that was what I grew up on. And it wasn't until my dad took me to my first wrestling show, which was WrestleMania 32. I saw Sasha Banks walk down that ramp. I was 10 years old and it clicked to me. I realized that I could be doing this. And so I owe it all to her for the whole reason I'm doing any of this, because I just saw myself in her, and that's when everything changed. Like whenever after that match, that's when I decided I wanted to be a wrestler for the rest of my life.
That's so cool.
Okay. I'm
That's so cool.
45 and I don't know what I want to do the rest of my life.
I gotta ask you, like, Mia, one thing that as a mark, I never was really interested in peering behind the curtain, and there's part of me who wishes that wrestling didn't peer, like we didn't have access behind the curtain, because I still want to believe, everything is suspended disbelief. However, one of the things as part of this project is just how much research I've done, and I've become really interested in, like, you have to be tough as nails to do this. The bumps you take in training. Like, can you talk a little bit about like what was it like to like try out and to actually demonstrate that you had the physicality and the toughness? Like, what's it like to like break into the business, break your body into it, get it ready to go?
It's definitely, like you said, like, of course, like, you hear the word fake a lot. What we do is like, it is telegraphed. We are telling a story, it's kind of like watching a movie, but at the same time, you can't fake like a fall off the top rope. You can't, it just hurts. I don't know how else to put it. It still hurts me to this day, even after 7 years of doing it. Sometimes just taking that one bump, whenever I started at 13, I went straight into it. It's not like I waited till I was like a few years older to start bumping. I was already bumping at 13. So it really took a toll on my back. Like I've had to wear back braces at some point. I tried like chiropractors, things like that. Eventually you just live with the pain. But it would definitely, like, especially to starting so young, that it was a big toll on my body. But it's just something where like over time you just realize, like, you know what? I'm the one that chose to do this crazy business anyways. And at the end of the day, like, it's all worth it, especially when you're in the moment wrestling in the ring. You won't feel it in the ring. You just feel it the next day.
Yeah, amazing. I watch the during training, like the bumps, and I just imagine myself like, you must wake up with bruising in the morning. Like you must like really feel it the next day. Like there's nothing fake about that. That's real.
Yes, exactly.
Amazing.
So I know you go to school as well. So like, how do you, that grind between school and wrestling, like you're doing both full time, I assume. Like, how do you keep up? Like, what's that grind like?
That grind, that almost took me out completely. I graduated high school with my associate's degree. So
Right,
while I
congrats.
was, wrestling on the indies, getting my name out and everything, I was, got the high school diploma and I got the associate's degree just because I wanted to hurry up and be done with school as soon as I can so I can just hurry up and keep on chasing my dreams. So right now I'm completing my bachelor's too. And it really is just a tough process. Like there's nowhere else, like even if you try to manage your time, it's just between all these different things, especially while I was also in high school, I was playing drums in a punk rock band. I just
Wow.
never had, it was a whole lot to manage, but you get it, you figure out a way.
Wow, Mia, you just piqued my interest. Who is like your punk rock inspiration, man? Like who is like the person in the punk rock scene that like you like say that's punk rock?
That's so hard because it feels like a test. Like I'm more like,
Well, I'm old, so you know you get to dig back.
I'm a little bit more like mainstream. Like, for me, when I was writing songs in this band, I looked at a lot of like old Green Day. Like, that's the kind of punk I wanted to go to, like that early Green Day style. So but the thing about our band is we all had different inspirations that we were taking away. Like, our bass player, he was more of a heavy metal guy. And our singers, he was more of like the Smiths, like that old school kind of stuff. So we just all came together and we were just like, it was crazy, but it was punk and it was awesome.
That's freaking amazing. Well, you know, to date Charles and me, when Charles and I were in the global war on terror in the early 2000s, American Idiot was like the national anthem of our experience. And I love that. That's a really cool part of your story, Mia. And there is like a huge like intersectionality between like music and wrestling, right? Like it's
Absolutely.
such a part of that. And the fact that you're like so dialed into music and to wrestling, it's gotta give you like a level of energy when you go into the ring, right? Like you're expressing it creatively in a way. It's kind of cool.
Yes, yeah. I mean, vice versa. Like whenever I was drumming up on stage, people were always just shocked by like my stage presence. But little do they know, like I'm also doing wrestling at the same time. But yeah, they go hand in hand. The performance arts, almost you could say at the same time. I don't know. Yeah.
It's all art. Absolutely. It's all art.
100%.
What so like your interest music, is that your interest music that you guys made, or did you take that from somewhere? What is your interest music?
So my entrance music is actually like the complete, like, even though I'm such like a punk rock, like metal girly, I come out to freaking Nicki Minaj because that's, I feel like, embodies Mia Friday. Like I have so many different, like, I'm a very interesting personality, but at the end of the day, Mia Friday, she's going to get the crowd hype. We're going to come out to Starships by Nicki Minaj and we're going to get the crowd going.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. So you, Charles, forgive me if I step on your shot here.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You have a certain style with your wrestling that I really like. So can you tell me a little bit about like what style that you kind of like try to blend into your execution in the ring? Is there a certain style that like inspires you the most?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's kind of like, I'm really just in love with, I love a high flying style, but like I said, I've never been the athletic type. So I found out what I really enjoy is just that lucha style of wrestling. I just love the spectacle of it. And I found that there's ways that I can kind of hack the system and I don't have to be able to do like a 450 or, something insanely athletic. I have these specific lucha moves that I've trained and practiced over and over again. And I found that that's the style that kind of works for me. Is just, I've always just loved how they focus on the spectacle and the entertainment aspect of it. I just love how it's something that makes you go, whoa, I love the awe of it. So that's the style that I take up the most after and try to be most like.
It's awesome.
No, that's awesome. That's why John Mark and he moved down here to South Texas, man. That's
I'd love to move down to South Texas, man. Are you kidding me?
we got it going on down here when it comes to luchador style wrestling. It's really so much talent down here. It's incredible. So let me ask you that, right? With your luchador style wrestling, your move, and I don't know what it's called, but the scissors off the rope. What is that? I've never seen that before. I saw you do it and I was like, wow, that's amazing.
I don't even know what it's called. I need to come up with like a Mia Friday name for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like,
We got to come up with a name.
I don't even know who I saw do it. I just know I saw someone do it and I figured like, there's a way I can figure that out. And it's just always been like my signature move now. I don't even like, I scare myself still trying to like do that every time.
No, you did it. And it's hard to do because the ropes are moving. It's like, it's easy to mess. It's easy
Yes, and if I messed it up, that's so embarrassing. Like, what do you even do? Like, you just fall out the ring, and then that's so it's a crazy move, but I like doing it.
That's really cool. What are you studying in school, Mia?
I'm doing graphic design. So right now I kind of have like a little side hustle where I'm making t-shirt designs for wrestlers and things like that. So I've been doing that since like high school. It's a little graphic design side hustle. So I figured I would just, if my parents are making me go to college and, and I figured it's fair if I go to college, they've done so much for me in my career. I figured graphic design would be the way that I want to go with it.
And yet another way to express your creativity.
Yes.
That is very cool. It's interesting. One of my favorite woman wrestlers is Asuka, and I've studied her background, and she also has a background in graphic design and that kind of creative thing, which is kind of cool. And it's apparent, like in her YouTube channel. If you look at her YouTube channel, she has all kinds of cool like design elements that are wickered in, and they all I think they all kind of like support her character, which I think is really neat. So
Yes, I love that too.
yeah. That's pretty neat. Do you one of the things, honestly, like this is kind of a little bit more of a serious question, I guess. One of the things I've also learned in this journey is that some marks, and Charles and I both consider ourselves to be marks, by the way.
Smarks. So the
yeah.
term is smarks. I don't know if you heard of it. It means like a smart mark, right?
At least we think.
Yeah, I like to believe so.
So I've seen, particularly in the social media, some really ugly stuff from marks, like abusiveness. Now, when I was a kid, like it was considered to be okay to like hurl insults at the heels, right? That was considered to be that's good. That's good for the event. But I see stuff now on not just in live performance, but on social media, just jerks. Do you deal with that kind of crap?
I mean, I feel like I'm lucky enough to where I feel like people are nice to me because they assume like they know that I'm younger, I guess. But I've seen so many of like my friends in the business, it's ruthless. Like it's terrible. And I guess for me, I feel like I have more haters like inside the business than outside the business. But for most other girls that I know, yeah, it's just like it's crazy nowadays how it's gotten. Like it's to a point where, yeah, I don't even understand like why they even do that.
Yeah, I mean, like, because the talent back in my day, gotta stop saying that. They had to deal with, like, as you said, like, and I saw like heels get jumped, right, by crazy fans. I saw like heels taking a lot of verbal abuse, but it's different than the kind of stuff I see on social media today, which is not really part of the event. It's not part of the storyline. It's directed at a person personally, and I find that to be just very disgusting because I think these people, as you said, they're putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment, right? And I don't know. I'm really sad to hear you say that in fact is a real thing. I imagine it's probably worse for women. Just a guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like it's just hard to be a woman in wrestling in general, whether it's like you said, the smarks or the people on social media, and also just it can come from anybody. It can come from a trainer that you thought was like a legitimate trainer, turns out not to be. It can come from a guy wrestler who's like trying to help you. It can happen all sorts of ways. So yeah, women, it's all over the place with trying to just make it in wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a segue, right? Because segue to basically the business of wrestling. Like, what have you learned in your journey so far about the business? Because you're obviously, I think you're well beyond your years in the ring when it comes to your actual performance, but the behind the scenes, the business. Did your parents help you out with that, or like do they kind of like manage you here and there, keep you on some guardrails, make sure you're good, or like how does that working out for you?
I mean, mostly it's just me handling all of that, just because, like, with wrestling, we try our best to still just, like, keep it, I guess, a secret as much as we can. And to wrestling, there's so many layers to where, like, my parents really couldn't help me out with that if they tried to. But mostly it's just, like, it's a very complicated business. It took me so long to learn it. Just like I didn't have anybody there to really tell me about the ins and outs of it. Number one thing I learned, not everybody is your friend. The business can get really messy. And I started off as that young girl, just trying to make friends. I'm happy to be here. It can it can destroy you. That just whole lots of fake things, lots of drama in the business. And on top of that, like, second thing I learned in the business is that sometimes it's just about being in the right place at the right time. Like, it's not always about being the best wrestler, being the best entertainer. Sometimes it can be like a politics game. And it's almost at the point where I guess you kind of have to politic your way just a little bit. I feel like you got to have those conversations with the right people. You got to be doing the networking and things like that to get to where you want to be.
No, absolutely. And, I'll let you know for the next rest of your life is a relationship business. So it's all about building those relationships. Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. So aside from like the stuff that goes on in the ring and it goes on in the promotion, then there's the business side. There's making money. And so I think a lot of folks at home, that are listening in, may not really understand. Like, so how does merch work? Do you get all the proceeds for your merch, or does the promotion rather get like a cut of that? Like how much, I guess, like, can you design your own merch, or how does that work where you are right now? And how important is merch to the wrestlers?
Yeah, well, I will say merch, like at my stage, being an independent wrestler, not being signed to anywhere, no kind of deals or anything like that, merch is just 1000% like extremely important. So we're all able to design our own merch and put out whatever we want. I design all of mine, the graphic design major coming in handy. And it all depends on how you want to go about, like, we just buy our merch independently, like, and, kind of like do that. But there's also pro wrestling tees. A lot of, like, I do pro wrestling tees too. And you get about like 60-70% of the profits, things like that. So at our stage, being on an independent level with no kind of contracts or anything like that, it's all up to us, like, freedom on how we want to do that. But at the same time, like, that is the most important thing, because we do have that freedom. We don't have that contract. We need to be always working, trying to support ourselves.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, Mia. And that's kind of why whenever I go to an independent show, I don't buy any merch at WWE shows because I don't have any money after buying the tickets. But like when I go to independent shows,
that was a dig. Dang. So I just went to Raw here in San Antonio and dropped probably like $1,000 on merch. But
someday, Mia, someday.
Making up.
You're going to rake it in, girl.
I'm just making up for a poor childhood where I had no money to buy anything. That's all.
That's why whenever I go to independent shows, I spend more money on merch than I do on the ticket itself. And because for me, it's kind of like going to like an artist. I'm like an independent artist, like exhibit. You want to support the artist. You want to support the craft. And so I always buy merch. I have so much merch. It's ridiculous. My wife is probably going to kill me if I buy a little more. But like, yeah, I mean, that's important to know as people go to these shows. One way you can support, is to buy the merch. I think it's important. And I love the fact that you personally put your hands on it and design it. That makes it even cooler.
Sweet. Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, like, I love that. Yes, it is so important. Like, I know we have like the hot dogs and handshakes like thing about us. We do get paid to do shows. It all depends on where you wrestle at. Like, say for the San Antonio show, like, I'll still get paid like a decent amount, but you also got to factor in the drive, the hotel, the food and everything. There's only so much that these different promotions can do for you. So we are still getting paid that money, but always like merch is like the number one place where we try our best to, get some support.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
See, cool. You made me feel bad because I was like, I went to your merch table, but it was like all women, like tee. There was no like dude that I could wear a t-shirt.
Now I got to make a more like manly design. I got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I would definitely buy it. 100% I would buy it.
Me too. I'd buy the whole rack, man. Like all of it.
Made me feel bad. But on that, right, what's that next step for you? Because I know you're independent now. You're at these smaller shows, which are amazing. But like, what is that like short-term goal for you? What's that next step?
That next step for me right now, WWE ID is a really big thing right now. I can kind of see that being like a next step for me. And as far as like how that happens, I don't know. I feel like I just keep working hard, doing what I'm doing, having those conversations with the right people. And I feel like right now, WWE ID, that's kind of the segue to getting on NXT. WWE. Right now, that's my goal. But whatever else happens, I'm down for whatever. As long as I'm just, at the end of the day, as long as I'm wrestling full time, making a living, I'm living my dream.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Inspiring, Mia. It's inspiring to hear you say that. I mean, so like for an independent wrestler like yourself, and you have this goal, which is to, next step, getting into NXT, like what are the obstacles that you're going to have to overcome? Like back to a more serious question, I guess, which is as you face that, like you're a very goal oriented person. You're a very focused person. It's clear from just the brief conversation we've had with you. People like that typically see the obstacles and they find ways around them. So like what challenges are before you right now as you think about your goal and where you want to go?
I guess right now, like the biggest challenge for me right now is the long game. I just feel like, because pro wrestling, I feel like it's not a race, it's a marathon. A lot of people, if you just see it through, you'll get that opportunity, whether it's like 25, 35, 45, you just never know. And the biggest challenge for me right now is I started when I was 13, haven't had any kind of like long break or anything like that since. So wrestling is like all that I've known. And now that I'm 20, I'm like hitting that burnt out stage, but at the same time, I know that this is like that prime age where I need to also be just in go time. And right now, I feel like the biggest challenge is just like not getting burnt out. That's the biggest obstacle. There's thousands of independent wrestlers, and the ones that make it, I feel like the ones that are just they see it through. And I feel like that's the biggest obstacle, is to just stay with it, overcome that feeling of being burnt out, and keep finding new reasons, like to have that passion, just keeping yourself motivated and like fueled and not getting bored or tired.
That's like, man, that's a great mindset to have, because as an independent wrestler, right, you're your own business owner, right? I'm in real estate. Once I retired, I'm my own business owner. So there's no one telling me to wake up early in the morning and go to the gym, right? There's no one telling me to go to work. There's no one telling me to do what I need to do. I have to do it myself, right? And that just takes a lot of self-discipline. A lot of people don't have that, and it sounds like you have it. And that's 90% of the equation right there, is just having that self-discipline to, yeah, hey, like I said, one thing I do, I live off my calendar. If it's in my calendar, it happens. I'm going to make sure it happens. If it's not on my calendar, I'm probably not going to do it. So I make sure that I fill my calendar up every day, to do money-making activities, like I like to say. So I think, but those are just, man, that discipline and motivation you have at such a young age. I think you're very far ahead of your peers, so-called peers.
I mean, Charles, can you imagine being this focused at 20?
No, man, no. I was in Germany. I was like a private in Germany when I was 20 years old. Like all I cared about was going to the bar,
Amazing. Mia, I need some advice from you. So I have like serious anxiety about speaking in public, which is as close to any performance as I'll ever get, right? And I'm in sales, which is crazy because you would think like, oh wow, but I actually have enormous, like, how do you, as you're back in the dressing room, you're back in the locker room and you're getting ready to go on, like how do you control anxiety, stress? Like, or is it, hey, it's no big deal for me, man. I walk out there and do my thing. How do you like get ready for a performance?
Yeah, I definitely I feel like half of the time I stress myself out so bad before a match, because most of the time, like, I feel very comfortable about what I'm doing. I've been doing it for so long, but then I'll just overthink and like stress myself out. Like, okay, what if I did slip and then fall out the ring? And then what if it all just went bad? And so I am a big like overthinker. So one thing that I just like to do before a match is to just find that alone time. I like to chat in the locker room, but when it gets closer to my match, I need to be in my own separate space, maybe some music, got my energy drink, and to just have that focus to be able to breathe and to just lock in, just a little bit of alone time. Because wrestling on show days, it's very chaotic. There's a whole lot of moving parts. And so sometimes just having that chance to step away and to just be with yourself for a little bit in a quiet space, I feel like that is what works best for me.
No, that's great. And I like to hit on that marathon. You said it's a marathon, and it's so true, because we're just talking to me and John Mark. We're just talking about Penta. He's like one of my favorite wrestlers. He's like in his 40s, and he's just now breaking in, and he's got the Intercontinental strap. And And people don't realize, like, he's been wrestling for over 20 years. You know, the luchador style, like dark matches, which are crazy violent and crazy hardcore. And he's just now, just now getting his kind of recognition and whatnot. So, yeah, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had, so one of the things that Charles and I have talked about on the pod, and it's something that, again, as I've peered more behind the curtain, as it were, was part of this journey of learning more about this craft that we love so much. One theme that continues to come up is the theme of trust. The trust that you have not with your opponent, the person that you're performing with that day, like, because you're putting their lives in your hands, right? How can you talk a little bit about how trust manifests itself not only in the ring but also like in the broader business? Because I keep hearing it over and over again. It's like trust is the bedrock of wrestling.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because like you said, you're putting your body like in someone else's hands. It's just like we're in like the age where there are more independent wrestlers than ever before. Like wrestling is so accessible. You could find a wrestling school, maybe even like 20 minutes down the street from you. There are more independent wrestlers than ever. And a lot of them like don't have that proper training. A lot of them like are doing it for them. They're just going out doing whatever they want to do. They have these egos. And just a big thing is just like you have to trust who you're working with. Like, it just goes like it's a dance, And especially with like sometimes women's wrestling can get really messy to where like, real fights can happen and things like that. It's just like trust is just absolutely important because especially with like the kind of moves I do coming off the ropes, off the top rope and things like that, it's all you can do is just trust that like they got you. That's why it's pro wrestling. You have to be a professional to do it.
Right. Right. And that's really, I'm glad you hear that. That tracks with everything that I've kind of learned on this journey. And one of the things that I really admire about some of the wrestlers that I have studied and kind of learned about, a good number of them, they have a really solid reputation of being very safe. Right. And they say like, man, when I worked with him or her, it was like the easiest night of the week. Right. I mean, and that's part of what I gather is that's part of having a good reputation in your business where you're like, oh man, that person, I'd love to work with her, or, vice versa. And that, I guess, is trust is hard work and technical execution kind of all rolled into one.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like when it's easy to work with somebody, it's like, it's a combination of like, they know what they're doing. So therefore you don't have to stress about like what's going to happen, whenever we get out there and like in the ring. And it's just like, yeah, having that experience mostly. I feel like when you're working with that person that has that experience to where like in any situation, they got you, even if things go bad, they can get you back on track. That's an easy night. When you're in good hands with somebody, you can trust them to where if things get messed up, we can get back on track. We're not going to shit the bed, it's just all going to go good. So I agree.
That's a great follow-up, John Mark. So like my next is like, so storytelling, right? Storytelling, independent shows that you pop in and you pop out one match. You have such a short time to tell a story. Basically you have your entrance, you have the match, and you have to tell a story in that time. Whereas, like WWE, you got, it's streamed. Story can go on for a whole year. Right. And you can, that's the storytelling. Whereas independent, you have, 10 minutes to tell a story. So like, how do you attack that? How do you do that really? And then just tell us how that works.
Yeah, it's something that took me so long to figure out because like my first matches that I did for the first like 2 or 3 years of my career, it was like you get like 5 minutes, go out there. And so in my mind, I'm thinking like, you know what? I don't think there is a story. So let's go out and just wrestle. And then it finally like hit me like after that point around like 16, 17, doing all these matches. I'm like, there is a story, but it's just not as big as the ones that we watch on TV. It's like a smaller story that we can still break down and still like, we can still make it happen. It's just not the kind of story that we're used to watching on TV. So like for a 5-minute match, it just takes a lot of just, what is your character? What is my character? Would our characters like each other? Would we hate each other? And just bounce off of it from there. It's mostly just like seeing what our two characters doing, just doing a little bit of brainstorming and figuring out like what they would do, how it would look on paper if these two characters cross paths.
No, that's a great. I asked that question because at the event I went to, it's a Blackbird Wrestling, right? It's kind of a dark wrestling, right? It's kind of like the women's champion, which Mia wrestled. I forget her name, but she's a champion. But she's like the Bruja, right? Which is like a Mexican witch. That's her character. So it's very dark, right? Where Mia comes out in these flashy colors, just smiling, and is that ultimate baby face. Whereas the champion was a heel, and they told a story in just that short period of time. And he did a great job at it. Like I was really like, I was like, wow, this is really good. So
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah,
Celine, Hysteria,
there
she
you go.
was so
Yep.
much fun to work with. That was my
Yeah.
first time ever getting in with her. It was great. And yeah, like you said, like just in that short amount of time, we still like it's character versus character. We're complete opposites and we can make a story out of that.
Like a Mark Mike like me seeing that match go in, I know that you're traveling here to this promotion and she's the belt holder for the promotion. So I knew you probably weren't going to get the strap that night, but you guys told a great story that it didn't matter who won. It was a great story and a great match. So
Mia, take us back to your first match, your very first one. How, first off, how old were you for your very first match?
I was 14.
Charles, what were you doing at 14? I know I was like delivering the papers and a paper
I was going to say
route.
14, your parents may get arrested for child abuse. Somebody called CPS on them. Like somebody called CPS.
Man, that's so cool. So what were your emotions? Like I got scared at 14 just getting up to bat in baseball. That's nothing compared to going out.
Like, were you wrestling other like 14, 15-year-old or?
No, it was a tag team match, all grown men. Like, well, because at that school that I was wrestling at, I was the only girl training there. So all I've ever known was to wrestle men. So that was my first match, was a tag match against two guys. And like, I just remember being so like overwhelmed with emotions just because so what happened that day was around like the show started at 7, around like 4 o'clock. I called my mom to come pick me up because I was just like, because I needed to go cry for a little bit. I was freaking out. So my mom picks me up around 4 p.m. from the venue, takes me back home, and I just have the biggest freak out of my life. And then she drives me back and I do the match. And I think it wasn't even like a thing where I was so just scared because I've been training, already a year at that point. I knew what was gonna I felt comfortable about the moves, but it was just more the fact of like, I had waited so long for that moment, like since 10 years old, watching Sasha Banks walk down that ramp till that moment at 14, walking out the curtain. That's literally all I've ever wanted to do was put on my gear and go out there and perform. So I think that day, it was just an overwhelming amount of emotion, but good emotion,
That's awesome. And obviously your parents are huge supporters of, like when you told them, this is what I want, hey, mom and dad, this is what I want to do. What was their reaction?
Well, my dad, he was like, hell yeah, like, let's make it happen. My mom, she was just worried, also because at that time, what I would watch, like the girls on TV, it was a whole lot different. And she's like, I don't want you doing that kind of like stuff, and I'm like, no, mom, it's going to be different, like that's why I always wear my modest gear. I keep it modest for my mom because that's what I told her, like I came here to wrestle,
Yeah.
And she was just worried about also me getting hurt. I remember like having just like, bruises, blood all over me, like when I started training, and that scared her a lot too. But at the end of the day, she was the one that signed me up for wrestling school. When she found out there was a wrestling school like 5 minutes down the street from my house, she was the one that signed me up without telling me first. And she was like, hey, I just reached out to this school. You're going to go do wrestling because I know you can't like shut up about it. This is all you want to do. So at the end of the day, they've both just been very supportive.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I can't, my daughter's 18. She plays softball. She's still in high school, but I can't imagine her wanting to wrestle. Like, I don't know what I would, because that's like daddy's girl, like it's different, man. I don't know how, but yeah, it's amazing that you have supportive parents that, that's good. And like I said, I seen them at the event. So, yeah.
Yeah. So Mia, one of the things you mentioned earlier is because you're an independent contractor. So like, how does all that work? Do you negotiate for every single event that you wrestle at? or do you kind of have like a standing contract, like with promotions? How does that kind of work? And like, you probably gotten some experience doing some negotiations way earlier than most people your age do.
Yes, yes. At first, I didn't even know we were supposed to get like paid to do it. I remember the first time I ever got like paid for a match. Like I walk up to the promoter and he's like, "So what's your rate?" And I was like, "Rate?" Like, and everybody started laughing at me. The whole like locker room started laughing at me. I'm like, "What's a rate?" You know? And he just hands me like I think like $40, and he's like, "Here you go, sweetie." And I'm like, "Thank you so much." Like it's one of those things where yes, you said it on your own. You set it on your own based off of obviously like how far it is, if you're gonna need a flight or anything like that, but also just how much you personally feel that you're worth. And that was something that I struggled with for a long time, where it was like, well, I don't know, like I will, in my mind, I'm still living my dream. I'm like, well, I could wrestle for anything. Shoot, is like, let me know. But like, it took me a while and like talking to a lot of like experienced people about how like it's also just, you should know your worth and you should go based off of that for what you want to charge.
Really cool. I'm also Charles and I, of course, are we're huge suckers for promos. Like we actually talk more about promos when we text back and forth during Raw and SmackDown than we do of what goes on in the ring. So like in your mind, like what are the essential elements of a good promo? Like you like try to when you cut them, what do you try to bring to the table?
Well, I'm literally like, me and promos, we don't really get along. But whenever in my mind, if I'm trying to put it together, a good promo, what I always love is a good catchphrase. When I'm studying promos, I feel like the catchphrase, that's what makes it. Whether it's at the beginning or at the end or both, I feel like that's what gets like, that's the main thing. So that's why like I have my little catchphrases. Like I might even finish a promo with like, "You're going MIA," or "You're going to see every day is Friday," something like that. Something that's clever, something to go into the character. I feel like that's my number one component. I feel like it's also important to just, this goes back to what we were saying, the story. The story is the most important. Like, I'm not just gonna, if I'm doing a promo to hype up an event that I'm doing, I'm not gonna be like, Saturday, March 18th, I'm gonna be here and it's gonna be great. Yeah, like I like to, let's tell a story. Who am I wrestling? Why should you care about who I'm wrestling in this match? And I like that too. I feel like that's important too.
By the way, I think that I think MIA is fantastic. By the way,
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, that's gonna. And then we need to get a name for that move. We really do. We'll just call it the MIA.
Well, I already have a move called MIA though, so it's like I don't know. We got to figure it out.
No, that's awesome. Like, and promos, man. Like, there's so much to it, right? There's so much psychology behind it, and I think a lot of it's the right place, the right time. You just can't cut a blistering promo, and there's nothing behind it. There's no storytelling behind it. So, no, I think you're way ahead of where you're so far ahead of that. And catchphrases are a big deal, right? Like if you look at every huge wrestler, they all have catchphrases that everybody knows. So, yeah.
One man, this conversation. We'll be respectful of your time. This conversation can literally go on all day because I'm so intrigued by what you do. You had one thing I wanted to ask you about medical coverage, the high risk activity, right? And so, like, what kind of protection is out there for wrestlers, or is it pretty much you guys are insured by you have to purchase your own insurance? Do you guys like have any kind of like, I know you don't have a union, but like are there any support organizations out there that try to advocate for talent, or how does protecting you during a pretty tough work environment go? Do people understand that?
Yeah, I mean, no, there's nothing really until you get that contract. It's really just being an independent contractor, working for all these like different shows. You're doing it like it's all out of pocket when it comes to insurance and any kind of medical, anything that happens to you in the ring, like it's all out of pocket. So I guess that goes back to what I was saying about how like merchandise is a huge thing for independent wrestlers and just pushing any kind of way to just like have that extra cash on you in case of those emergencies. Cause it is a scary thing when it happens to an independent wrestler because a lot of them aren't insured, you know? So it's just one of those things where you just try your best to be ready for situations like that because there isn't any kind of, any kind of company helping you or any kind of thing like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I think a lot of people who are, who are marks or fans don't understand, right? Like, and that is, and that's a lot of pressure, I would imagine, like, especially with the type of style that you have. So, you've had to, I would say you've really had to grow up very quickly. That it's your maturity is like the one thing like that just jumps off the screen at me. When I was 20, gosh, I was so immature. I'm still immature at 52. But like that, you take your craft very seriously, and I think there's a human element to that, right? Your life is in danger. The lives of the people you work with are in danger, and you have that shared risk. And because of that, you take it seriously and you want to make sure things go right. I respect that. And someday, who knows, Mia, where your life will take you. You'll be managing other people, in charge of other people. And I think that some of the best leaders, in my opinion, are people that started like you. You're out there grinding. You got like very few nets for you. You're out there just doing your thing. And I think that builds empathy as you become a leader, as you become a mentor to other listeners.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm already like, it's kind of weird how I'm kind of already slowly transitioning into that mentor role. Like a reality of wrestling where I train at now, they do a girls class every Monday and they're all very new. And I realized they keep on coming to me for questions. I'm like, why are you coming to me? I'm still learning. But then I realized like, shoot, I guess I have been doing this for 7 years, and they just started like a month or two ago. They're looking to me for that knowledge. And it's just crazy to think about how like I'm still, I'm still just happy to be here. I'm still even in awe that I'm even doing any of this. So to try like my best to mentor other people or to step into that leadership role, it still feels weird to me. And maybe that's just like, I feel just so grateful that I'm even in a ring. It's hard to believe that I'm already trying to help train the next generation. But yeah, it's absolutely insane.
So I'm going to ask you this. What's your dream match?
My dream match, it has to be against Mercedes Moné. She is legit. Like from 10 years old to now, she's always just been my inspiration. I gotta say, like, if I ever had that, that would be the match.
Okay. Who's winning? And how?
Man, you know what? I'm gonna leave that until whenever it happens. Whenever it happens.
Okay.
We'll wait for you to cut your promo and then you'll tell us.
Yeah. I'll tag her on the podcast. It's okay.
What about we love Mercedes as well, by the way. What about her that inspires you so much that would make you want a wrestler?
I guess I want to say like initially right off the bat, it was because she was the first woman I saw on TV that kind of looked like me with like the mixed race, and she had the pink going on. I love the pink. I love the flashiness of it. So right off the bat, it was just because I saw myself in her. I finally had that person to look up to. And on top of that, I just love how she genuinely loves wrestling. Like, I feel like she's crazy over wrestling the same way that I'm crazy over wrestling. And I feel like I can really relate to her in that from watching it growing up and always being the nerd about it. So I could just really relate to her in that sense too. And not to mention, she also loves that lucha style too. And it's just like everything that she does, it's what I want to be.
Absolutely. I think representation matters. Absolutely it does. And yeah, no, great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. That's really cool. I'm so impressed by you, Mia. You can, I think Mia can literally do anything she wants. She can go into business. She can do anything she wants. And the fact that she chose this as her path, I think is just so refreshing and so cool. Much respect to you for that. Much respect.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. I'm getting pretty close to running out of questions, and I want to be respectful of Mia's time, Charles. So I'll pass to you to wrap us up, man.
I got one last. Like, where did your style come from, and where does your I know you say your ring gear is more modest because of your mom and the the luchas, but like, where did that come from? Like, how did you develop that along the way? And obviously, it's still developing. Where do you see that developing to? Are you gonna do more high flying stuff, or like, what do you see yourself developing to?
Yes, I mean, that's the goal, yes, is to be like, I love watching. Right now, I'm just in love with watching Rey Mysterio. Right now, I love watching all of that. So the goal eventually is to be able to do everything, to finally be athletic, like convince
And
myself that I'm
he's like our
athletic.
age. He's like me and John Mark's age, and he's still out there. Just it's amazing.
It is amazing. Yes, that's the end goal, is to be that high flying, be athletic like that. And the gear inspiration, I mean, the tassels and the big sparkly, it all came from Joshi wrestling. I love watching Japanese wrestling. And so that's where I got the style of just like, okay, if I want to be an entertainer. I want to make fans feel in awe the same way I was in awe watching Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. So that's why it's always flashy, the tassels, bright colors, everything. So if anything, the gear just kind of transitioned into more of that Japanese style, because I just really love how their gears are over the top.
No, absolutely, and the gear works. I mean, it is working. It's working. It definitely sets you apart. Absolutely,
Yeah.
without being modest, right? Without that showing stuff, right? So, no,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
it's hell
I
yeah.
love the fact that you give a shout out to Joshi because I'm a huge Joshi fan as well. And I can watch Manami Toyota matches all day long, even though they happened like 30 years ago. And I'm sure
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I watching her like just it's interesting. Like your style kind of reminds me of that. Like she would just put her body through just incredible risk to put on a show. And I love the fact that you brought that up. Can we expect to see you wrestling at Kurikan Hall someday or in Tokyo? I would love to see that.
I have wrestled in Japan before at 17. Yes, I
Wow.
kind of a little side
Wow.
thing. Yes, at 17, I did go wrestle in Japan for about a month. I trained at the Ice Ribbon Dojo, wrestled about 2 matches there. That was a little side quest, I guess I did before I graduated high school.
Hell
So
yeah.
that was, but yes, wrestling at the big stage, that's definitely a goal. I want to go back for sure, do all the big things in Japan.
Are the Japanese wrestlers stiff?
No, it's a myth. It is a myth, because the number one thing you do in pro wrestling, I feel like it's a universal thing, is to protect your opponent. We got to keep doing this. We want to do this forever, you know? And it's like, it's just, even though I was the only English speaker there, I never had an English conversation with anybody there for the most part, but it's just a universal thing to take care of your opponent. And yes, it looks stiff, but we're always taking care of each other. So I love that.
Yeah, I remember talking about jerks on. So I was getting ready to say something else, but I didn't want to be impolite in front of Mia. Seeing jerks on social media. I remember when on WWE, Kyrie Sane did an Alabama Slam on EO, and people were really ticked off about that. They're like, "That's a reckless move," and I remember thinking to myself, "Dude, have you ever seen a Joshi show before?" And it looked dangerous. It actually was quite scary, right? But you could see like she took the bump on her shoulders, not on her neck, right? I was like, you've never seen a Joshi show before, and it's really stiff. And I've always wondered, are they really stiff, or is that part of the craft, the illusion that it's stiff without being stiff? And you answered my question. Well, I love the fact that you've already gone international. Have you been to any other countries besides Japan?
Yes, it was another random thing that happened. Mark Henry found out about me. He gave a call to my dad because he didn't want to call me because, I'm a little girl. He's like, I'm just going to call your dad.
Hell yeah.
He has a promotion where they go and travel like outside the US. So I did a show with him in the Bahamas. So I wrestled in the Bahamas, did a show there wrestling on his promotion. And then, coming up in July, I'll be wrestling in Canada for the first time too. So only got 2 countries down, third one coming up soon. But yeah, just hoping to travel everywhere.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Bravo.
It just makes me think, John Mark, you have that African American promotion up there in DC.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
grease some skids, get her on, man. Get her up there.
Yeah, man, I need to get over there. I couldn't go last time because of the weather, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna look at their next promotion. I'm definitely gonna go. Mona wants to go too, so that'll be kind of cool. I'm looking forward to it. But we definitely need to promote the heck out of Mia on our platform. And I mean, we should also like where she's selling merch anywhere where, you know, she's
let us know.
out
Let
her
us know where to get your merch.
We'll put it down below and put it on social media.
Sweet. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, like Pro Wrestling Tees, the main place where everybody can go buy my tees. I'll send y'all a link and y'all can add that in there. But yes, so that's, yeah.
I just, before I let Charles close out me, I just want to say, I will, my prayers are for you to have just accomplish every one of your dreams. You're such a wonderful person, just getting to know you, and you're hardworking and you're focused, and you have many of the traits of many of the talent that I like the most, guys like Bret Hart and that kind of people. You take your craft very seriously, and you're very motivated, and you're inspirational. So I wish you the best in your career. I can't wait to watch. I'm so excited to see you and follow you and cheer you on from the sidelines.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then just thank y'all again for having me on. Like, I appreciate it so much. It was so much fun. So thank y'all just so much for everything.
No, thank you, Mia. And let me ask you, do you have your next match? Where can we see you next?
Next match.
Just checking the calendar. I love it.
Absolutely. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. Let's go.
Next match, Mania Week. So everybody who's pulling up in Vegas, come watch me in Mania Week. I'm wrestling at midnight, April 15th, GCW The Collective. So everybody that's in Vegas for WrestleMania Week, come on out and see me.
So you're going to be in Vegas?
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
No, we'll put a link. Send me the link. We'll put it in the description and the comments.
Bet.
Yeah.
She's just, dude, like we keep saying like we're gonna do this, we're gonna go to Vegas, and actually I don't even care about like the seeing Mania. Like I would love just to go see the
festivities,
the activities and the promotions, the independent promotions. I know that TJPW is going to be there. I would love Garrett Cole to be there. Charles, like I don't know, bro, like I'm thinking this is going to happen.
Yeah, I think so. We just need to get our press passes, right? But no, thank you, Mia, again. Hey, this was amazing. Listen, I want to look back on this podcast in 5, 10, 15, 20 years and be like, we had Mia Friday on our podcast. And I really think that's going to happen. So, well, congratulations on all your success you've had already, and congratulations on all your success in the future. Your mindset and your level of maturity is way beyond your years. So, your parents did a good job.
They did. They absolutely did.
All right, y'all. Well, we'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe and all that jazz. And we'll talk to you later.
Thanks.